There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Today we're trees. Today we're going to be playing the elevator game with Catgirls. So, of course, we're very excited. Finally, a game about cats. Now, before we start, I'm going to go to the itch.io page. This game can be found on nobreadstudios.itch.io. This is what the game summary says on the page. Asahi's girlfriend, Kirin, disappears in weird circumstances. Will the Catgirls be able to reunite? The Elevator Game with Catgirls is a horror visual novel inspired by the Korean urban legend Elevator to Another World. This is the demo version of the game that was made for the Winter VN Jam. It shows the first 20 minutes of gameplay. Now, the art style drew me into this game immediately. It wasn't just the cats, but without further ado, let's get started. Oh, I like how the text is animated. That's cool. Ooh. It's a cold winter night. Oh, I like the animation with the snowflakes. There's footsteps. Snow started to fall a couple of hours ago, so the cityscape is littered with a layer of white fluff. It crunches under our feet as we walk down the street. Ta-da! We're here! The art looks pretty. I like how the building kind of fades in the distance. The further it goes, the more it fades. I look up to inspect the tall building before us. It's past midnight, so it's to be expected that most people should be occupied. Actually, that also explains why barely any of the windows show illumination coming from the inside. Considering what we're here for, it only adds to the creepiness of the situation. I've never been a fan of dark places. That didn't change even when I got my feline features. Got feline features? You'd think being able to see so much more clearly in the dark would make darkness less scary, wouldn't you? Trouble is, I hear so many more little sounds that I couldn't make out before too. And since I'm not sure what all of them are, the dark's every bit as creepy as it was before. This is Ashi. So we are. Finally, a response. I thought you were It's a fault of mine, and one I'm not too proud of. I tend to get lost in my own head sometimes. Well, quite often, really. Thankfully, Kirin is fairly used to it by now. I swear, Kirin, of all the buildings in the city, you just had to choose one which seems super creepy. This has to be the sole residential building in the whole office district. Oh, but you know. And by perfect you mean meeting the conditions and being less than 10 miles away from our homes? Or are you enjoying our walk in the snow together so much that you'd like to prowl around aimlessly for another hour? I like because I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to feel cold. Was that your plan for me to need you to warm me up afterwards? You said something actually. I just stare at her, not really sure what to say. There's no winning with Kieran when she gets all sly like this. As much as I hate to admit it, it's one of the things I actually like about her. Why did I sign up for this again? Because you love me. Ah yes, thank you for reminding me of that questionable fact. Say, do you get the feeling like someone is manipulating someone else for their advantage over here? No, just me? Come on, be like that. You know I'm happy to you decide to come with me. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I stare at her for a moment longer before I sigh. I really can't argue with her. I had a silent crush on this girl for the longest time and never expected to one day find out that the attraction was mutual. The fact that we managed to actually get together still feels so unreal sometimes. If it weren't for the fact that the change affected her too, it would have never come to this. As much as I disliked it in the beginning, it made me feel like an outcast among my former peers after all. Our shared experience allowed me to be there for her when she needed it most. It's a memory I'm always going to cherish, of that I'm sure. I breathe warmly on my hands, rub them together, and then jam them deep in my pockets. It's not much, but hopefully it will help keep some feeling in my fingertips. It's enough to let me focus on things in the here and now, at least, rather than just on how cold it is. I said it before, I'll say it again. Way too easily. Hmm? You're doing all this because of the bet with Morgan, aren't you? Oh sure, that's one of the reasons. But that's not the only one. I'm doing this because it's fun. Fun? Kieran, you've seen the forums. Not a single person that ever said it was a good idea. Are we doing some supernatural sleuthing? Ah yes, all those fairy tale stories, quite tragic really. Come on, you're not about to tell me you honestly believe those. So you mean you don't? Seriously, girl, we live in the real world. Spooky, scary skeletons don't just pop out of nowhere because someone decided to be an idiot and press buttons. I can't believe you, of all people, are still saying that strange, unexplained things don't happen. I mean, you did look in the mirror this morning, right? This is this, and that is that. So you don't believe this will actually work? Remind me why we're here again. We are here to prove a point, namely that Morrigan can suck it. Sigh. I honestly can't believe I leave me. Chill, Ashi. We suffered the cold for a while longer, nothing happens, and then Morgan owes me $50. $50 that will treat us to a nice dinner together. I suppose a dinner with you is a pretty good incentive. See, I knew you'd come round. That being said, I wish we could keep that chat. I'll be right back. Kieran? What? I'm the one who should be getting cold feet here, not you. Just... You remember all the rules, right? Stay safe, okay? Asa-chan, be realistic about this. What's an elevator gonna do, bite me? You could always get stuck. That's a realistic possibility, if anything. I'm sure you'll figure it out if I do. Now be sure to stay away from the building since we'd be breaking those rules otherwise. Right. See you in a bit. I stare as Kieran approaches the building's entrance, presses one of the intercom buttons, and moments later pushes the door open. How does she convince people? She's gone from my sight before I know it, a faint click as the door closes behind her. There's a feeling of unease pooling in my stomach. All of this being a bad idea, probably the worst we've had yet, just screams in my head. I'm so going to give Morgan a piece of my own mind once all this is over. It's not like I can really do much about it now, however. If I were to go after my girlfriend, saying I've suddenly changed my mind, it would undoubtedly make her angry. Hell, we snuck out of our houses through the window without our parents knowing just to go through with all of this. If I had a problem with this whole crazy idea, I should have said something way earlier. It's too late now. Oh, that's a neat effect. The hand coming up like that. I wrap my fingers around my phone and pull it from my pocket. As I do so, I see the screen shows midnight 13 hours AM. 13 minutes AM. It took us around an hour to walk here, and while I dreaded us even being here in the first place, I'm also not looking forward to walking all the way back, especially when it's bound to get colder as the night goes on. Perhaps we could use those $50 to get a ride home instead of a meal? Yeah, if things only worked that way. We have long nails as well. With another sigh, I turn away and start to walk towards a small park located in the middle of this god-forsaken district. I don't know why part of it is a playground. There can't be many kids here in the day, can there? But it is, and there's a slide as well as a pair, though that would let me lift my feet off the ground for a bit. The cold, snowy ground. I decide to sit down on the nearest one. And just like that, the uneasy feeling of having entered a liminal space hits me, making the hairs at the back of my neck stand up. One's mind usually associates playgrounds with children, laughter, movement, and life in general. It's what they're designed for, after all. So when you get to experience the total opposite of that, when you find yourself sitting in an empty, childless playground in the middle of the night, it doesn't feel right. Your mind associates it with something being off, something being wrong. Why are you here, Ashi? In a place you shouldn't be. There's a lot of animation in this game, I like it. Absent-mindedly, my gaze wanders. Something at the other side of the street catches my attention. It's a vending machine. I happen to have a bit of change with me, and the idea of getting something hot to drink is suddenly a very alluring temptation. It would undoubtedly make the waiting out in this cold less unpleasant. Please say it's a machine that has hot drinks as well as cold ones. Only 1 minute has passed? With my mind made up, I get back to my feet, checking the time more out of habit than actual curiosity again. Only a minute's passed since Kieran disappeared into the building, and I'm both surprised and not really. The feeling of time passing slower than usual is normal when you obsessively wait for something, even more so when said waiting is physically uncomfortable. I make my way towards the vending machine without a second thought. To my relief, its glowing buttons do indeed hold the promise of a hot drink. I decide to get coffee or cocoa. Now I know that if Mel were playing this, he would probably pick coffee, but we're going to go with cocoa. I'm usually more of a coffee person, but I'm in the mood for something sweet. My mind will most likely appreciate the sugar rush right now too. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this is Kieran's favorite drink. Yeah, it's about time I acknowledge the fact that I've started to consume more sweet stuff because of her. Even though she says I'm sweet enough as I am. It's only when there's a clunk of coins in the change slot that I realize the cocoa is a bit cheaper than the coffee, meaning that I'll be able to get a can for Kieran when she comes out too. Aw. Yeah, exactly, Xanu Ceratops, aw. That's a nice surprise. As I work on opening the bottle, I realize how warm and heavenly it feels in my hands. I wrap my hands around it, enjoying a few moments of bliss as the heat warms my fingers. I take a small sip and instantly happy with the taste. Being able to drink anything warm feels like a godsend right now. Satisfied, at least momentarily, I make my way back to the playground, intending to sit back at the spot I took up before. I reach the swing and settle back down as I glance up again at the building Kieran's slipped into minutes ago. My blood suddenly runs cold. A sense of sudden panic swarms my mind as I try to make sense of what I'm seeing. A building that's dead to the world, all pitch black with none of its lights shining through the windows anymore. Could all the residents have gone to sleep in the meantime? That's close to impossible, and I know it. A power outage, maybe? I quickly turn around and look at the other buildings around me. All of those seem the same when we arrived, with a bright window still present here and there, so surely that can't be it. If the power was cut off, it would affect the whole street, wouldn't it? Or even several streets. Almost spilling my drink, I hastily reach for the phone in my pocket. Huh? We've gone back in time. I blink, then close my eyes shut for a moment, certain that something's wrong with my eyesight. The time couldn't have just gone backwards. A small sense of relief floods me as I quickly open my eyes again. It must have been a trick of the light before. Or perhaps there was a glitch with my phone's display? Perhaps there is something wrong with me. Uh, an 8 can look like a 3. I'm sure it's fine. Remembering what made me reach for my phone in the first place, I raise my head to look at the building before me once more, only to see it in its previous state. The lights are back on as if they were never gone to begin with. The unease in my stomach stays, though. I know what I saw. I'm pretty sure I couldn't have just imagined it. It's been 5 minutes since Kieran went into the building. Is that enough to ride through a bunch of floors? Would she be mad if I called her so soon? Dwelling on it suddenly feels stupid. I open up the calls app on my phone and there's her name at the top of the history. She called me just a couple of hours ago to confirm our plans for tonight. Admittedly, her name is also there for the call before that, and the one before, and... Okay, I chat to her a lot. So, one more call now can't hurt, right? I hit the redial button. I should have expected the call wouldn't connect. If she's still inside the elevator, there probably isn't any reception there, is there? So what options does that leave me with? Going in after her? Waiting for another 5 minutes? I stare at the building before me intently, afraid to avert my eyes anymore. It's like I'm hopeful my gaze, my constant observation alone will make the light stay. I'm scared of the situation repeating itself. Sometime later, I realize that I've spent so long just holding my can and fretting about Kieran that my drink has gone from a nice hot drink to, well, undrinkable. Oh no, it's gone tepid. Some drinks are not meant to be just kind of warm, and this is one of them. At least it kept my hands from freezing, I guess. 10 minutes pass, I feel only more cold and helpless. Why can't Kieran just come out of the building now as if nothing has happened and laugh at me for worrying too much? I call her again for good measure. Surprisingly, the call does come through this time. So maybe we'll have some answers. Hello? We're going to save. That was weird. That was very peculiar. I'm not prepared for what I hear. A woman laughing at the other end. There's something about it that disturbs me to the very core. It's definitely not Kieran's voice. Or is it? All of a sudden, realization hits me. Morgan, the bet, everything, now this. None of it could possibly be real. All of this has to be a prank arranged by my classmates. And whether Kieran's in on it... She wouldn't do this to me, would she? The image of her wickedly smiling, amused face persistently pops up in my mind again. Confusion turns to anger. Before I know it, I'm on my feet, already marching to the building, determination boiling inside me. There's an obstacle before I can get in, though, as I obviously don't have a key to the entrance door. What kind of excuse would be plausible at this sort of hour? I stab at the button that I think Kieran pressed and then almost immediately regret it. What if I press the wrong button? What if I press the right one and sound stupid when the other person asks who's there? What if? To my surprise, there's a click from the intercom and then a buzz as I'm let in without a single word being spoken. Huh, so Kieran didn't have to sweet-talk anyone. I try not to dwell on the unexpected invitation as I shrug it all off on luck. As soon as the doors close behind me, it occurs to me just how dark the inside of the building is. I know it's the middle of the night, but I'm not sure whether such a complete lack of light is normal. People live here, after all. There should be some signs of life. Buildings usually have at least a few lights on inside, don't they? It's unsettling, although it doesn't make me as nervous as it used to. I know that my vision is going to adjust to the darkness in a moment, letting me navigate to the place easily. I'm able to see a lot better in the dark compared to when I was still completely human, but it doesn't work instantly. Ooh. As I take a few hesitant steps into the building, the lights flicker on with a harsh buzz. Of course, I'm being such an idiot. There are automatic lights in here. They come on when people move. Totally ordinary. It's just that I've never been in this building before. It stands to reason that it feels unusually creepy to me, right? Especially if I think about why I'm currently here. All that considered, it feels longer for me to reach the end of the long hallway than it probably should. It's a dangerous time to let your mind wander into places nobody sane would want it wandering to. At least the building inside is noticeably warmer than the outdoors. It makes the whole situation slightly easier to bear. My hands and feet almost started to freeze off in the meantime. The next thing I know, I stand before the elevator door, rooted to the ground. With the sudden sensation of someone watching me. I'm gonna save again. Hesitantly, I reach to press the elevator button, more panic exploding inside of me as the automated light picks that exact moment to cut out. My first instinct is to get out my phone. Save it, scary music, good idea. I'm saving after every choice because I can't anticipate when a choice is coming. Also, the choices are timed. I'm always curious as to what happens if we let the timer run out. My first instinct is to get out my phone, let it illuminate the sudden darkness of the corridor, and God knows what else is inhabiting it currently. There's nothing. Nothing that I'm able to see anyway. It's just the empty corridor, a row of closed doors along each side, seemingly the same as when I first entered it. There's nobody there. I don't feel any less on edge when I turn back in the other direction, bearing my back to all of that sudden space again, pressing the elevator button as quickly as I find it. A distant sound of machinery starting up pierces the unnerving silence, followed by a hum which indicates that the elevator is in motion. It's clearly on a different floor, so I wait for it to descend. Taking a deep breath, I try to calm myself. It feels like an eternity for the thing to arrive. The doors finally slide apart with a slight scraping sound, and the small compartment finally opens up before me, completely empty. I'm not sure whether I should be surprised or not. Part of me hoped it wouldn't have to come to this, while another already expected for things to turn out this way. There we go. At this point, I decide to do the only sensible thing I can think of doing. Get into the elevator, ascend to the highest floor, then make my way down the stairs. All in the hope of stumbling upon Kieran, possibly hiding from me on one of the floors. If only things turned out that easy. Oh, that's the end of the demo. This project was made for the Winter VN Jam, and it's only the demo. Be sure to follow us for the full release sometime in early 2021. Thank you for playing. Well, that was the elevator game with Catgirls demo. You can find it on nobreadstudio.itch.io. This is the demo, so if you're interested in the full game, please follow them to see updates. I look forward to them releasing the full game because I like what I've seen so far. This is intriguing, and I like the art and the animation. And the Sorry, I was looking at something on another window. There's also several choices that I made that I could have done in a different way. So if you're interested in seeing what happens when you make the other choices, please check out the demo. I recommend it. But for now, I'm going to find someone for us to raid. Who is live? Oh, Tundra Flame is live. So we're going to raid Tundra Flame. So, okay, here we go. And I'll hopefully see you sometime later this week with more winter game jams. Ta-ra!